First, help me, the old man, understand why this issue is resonating, why this case is resonating with young women. Harlow, I'll start with you.
To be honest, I'm actually not quite sure why we're having this conversation to begin with. I don't understand the support for her at all. It's a woman who murdered her 3 children, and I am deeply concerned about the response from women. And I think that's what's dredging a lot of this up.
Why women and not men, though? That's what I'm talking about. Why aren't there men lined up out there?
I think that's a great question because I've been thinking the same thing. If a man, went to war and came home with horrible PTSD and killed his entire family, I don't think we would be seeing a bunch of men saying same Carl. Now, when you factor in the postpartum, I think that's a particularly sensitive topic, but that doesn't necessarily mean postpartum depression doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have murderous thoughts about your children. And I think that's where we're getting a little bit blurry with the lines.
Well, but it can mean that. Mary, what do you see as motivating your advocacy on this?
So I want to be clear. I don't support the actions that occurred in the Clancy household in January of 2023.
Of course.
Those 3 children are still dead and nothing excuses that. But I am here to talk about how a woman repeatedly asked for help. She was turned away by suicide hotlines, and she was prescribed 9 medications in 3 weeks by a healthcare system that is supposed to be in one of the best medical centers in the world. She lived somewhere where access to healthcare is world renowned, and she still was failed by the system. It isn't about excusing or arguing her actions. I'm not saying that she didn't do it. I'm simply saying that there were warning signs and it didn't lead to intervention. And if we don't ask the question of how are we supposed to respond to mental health just like this, how do we know that this isn't going to happen again?
I think the hard question, Harlow, for you is, do you believe that Lindsay Clancy would have done what she did if she were not mentally ill?
I'm not completely positive. I think obviously to kill your kids, you have to be mentally ill in some capacity. I'm not totally sold based on what we've seen in the trial that she necessarily had postpartum psychosis. And I think that's what's causing a lot of confusion. But I think a big issue we're seeing with the young women is that we have a generation who's so obsessed with mental health empathy that they're putting the potential internal state of Lindsay Clancy that is very much up for debate, but they're putting her internal state above the actual victims, which is the 3 kids who are dead, who were violently murdered by their mother, who is supposed to love and protect them. And yes, you can argue she shouldn't.
That's the tricky bit. That's the tricky bit, is that usually, why do we protect kids? Because, boy, it's not about them being the future. It's that the devastation to a family, nothing else comes close. But here, the woman who would suffer the most is the woman who perpetrated the crime. And I think it's an interesting aspect of this, Mary. Also, Harlow raises a good point. For me as a lawyer, I'm obsessed with the jury's balancing of equities here. Because, if I'm not sure if she had psychosis, then she's not guilty. You have to believe beyond a reasonable doubt that she didn't have psychosis, or you're supposed to vote to acquit here. So we'll see what they do. But Harlow raises a better point than mine, Mary. Do you think you are drawn to this because of, even though it's in the context of murder, the need to have empathy and reach out to people who are mentally ill and the stigma? Do you think that's what's driving?
I think that there are many things driving this. I think that, like you said, there is a large stigma around mental health these days. I think that specifically there's a large stigma around how mothers are with their children. Nowadays there's this fear of, not being a good enough parent, having your children taken from you. And speaking with some of the women outside the courthouse when I was there last Thursday, it was blatantly obvious that there were women who had experienced something similar who didn't have the courage to speak up about it. And I think that that's the real difference here with Lindsay, in my mind, is that she did speak up about it and she was not helped. So the fact that women feel like this is not something they can say out loud because it's shameful is despicable. You should be able to talk about a problem if you're having a problem, and you should be able to receive help. So the fact that not only did she speak up and talk about her mental health problems that she was having, which is something that's so difficult for so many women to do, but then the system turned her away, it's appalling.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.